Think of a place painted with a million shades of green, that's Coorg, where the air itself smells of coffee blossoms.
Lovely.
Now picture ancient stones, sun-baked and whispering tales of forgotten empires. Welcome to Hampi.
Iconic.
And then the languid rhythm of waves meeting golden sands, that's Gokarna for you. It's genuinely breathtaking that one single state, Karnataka, can hold such wildly different worlds within its borders.
It really is. That tourism slogan, one state, many worlds, it's not just a catchy phrase, it's the absolute truth.
Totally. You could spend weeks here and barely scratch the surface, right? From spotting tigers in the wild to exploring UNESCO sites that have stood for centuries.
Forget needing a passport. Karnataka's got its own universe of experiences.
It truly does present an astonishing array. The sheer diversity is a powerful draw, and as we saw with last year's figures, a substantial number of both international and domestic visitors clearly felt that pull.
Yeah, there's an inherent magnetism to Karnataka's offerings, no doubt.
Absolutely. In 2024, we're looking at close to 500,000 international travelers choosing Karnataka for their adventures, which is, a significant step up.
Which is great to see.
And domestically. A staggering 30 million journeys taken within the state. That kind of interest feels like a slam dunk, right?
You'd think so. You'd naturally expect Karnataka to be right up there at the pinnacle of India's tourism rankings.
And yet, there's a curious twist in the tale. Despite those impressive numbers, Karnataka finds itself in 4th place for domestic tourism, and perhaps surprisingly, down at 12th for international arrivals.
12th, that's lower than you'd expect.
Right. When you really consider the extraordinary breadth and depth of what's on offer, that gap between its potential and its actual standing is the puzzle we need to unravel.
It's akin to possessing a grand piano but discovering it's slightly out of tune. The inherent quality is there, but something's preventing the full symphony.
Precisely. It's as if Karnataka has this incredible vault filled with historical riches, stunning natural landscapes, and a vibrant cultural heartbeat. But the mechanism to properly showcase it to the world is just a little sticky. We've taken a deep dive into why this might be the obstacles, the roads not taken, and some of the, head-scratching situations that make you wonder what's really going on.
Yeah, digging into the why.
So our mission today is to understand why this discrepancy exists, what's keeping Karnataka from truly dominating the tourism scene, and maybe even identify some keys to unlock that full potential.
Okay, where do we start?
Let's start with something fundamental, the experience of simply getting around.
Infrastructure. A foundational element indeed. A traveler's initial interactions with the basic infrastructure of a destination can profoundly influence their overall perception.
Exactly. Picture this. You're leaving behind the constant hum of Bengaluru, the promise of tranquil hills drawing you towards Chikkamagaluru's coffee estates or Sakleshpur's hiking trails.
Sounds idyllic.
The initial drive is often pleasant enough on those national highways. But then, a couple of hours in, maybe around that 150-kilometer mark, nature calls, as it inevitably does. And that's when the smooth journey can encounter a rather jarring disruption, the noticeable scarcity of clean and easily accessible public restrooms.
Oh, that old problem. Yes.
It's almost ironic, this contrast between the well-maintained highways and the often disappointing state of what's available when you need a break.
It's a frustration many travelers can readily identify with, and unfortunately, it leaves a lingering negative impression. It suggests a lack of focus on very basic yet crucial traveler needs.
Yeah, I was reading about the experiences of Shabith B., a software engineer who seems to have explored a fair bit of Karnataka's backroads. He highlighted this stark division, the concentrated development within Bengaluru versus the apparent oversight once you venture beyond.
That rings true. The difference can be quite stark.
He even drew a direct comparison with Tamil Nadu and Kerala, implying they've managed to address this much more effectively. It really begs the question, have you ever been on a Karnataka road trip and felt that familiar pang of anxiety about finding a decent place to stop?
Oh, absolutely. It's a common concern you hear.
What does it say about a state aiming for tourism excellence when such a basic need becomes a source of stress?
It certainly raises questions about strategic planning and resource allocation. While guidelines exist suggesting a comfort stop every 60 kilometers, the execution seems to get bogged down.
Bogged down is right.
In a complex web of bureaucracy, with responsibilities spread across the National Highway Authority of India, the State Public Works Department, various local administrations, and even the Finance Department.
So everyone points fingers at everyone else.
This shared, yet somewhat diffuse accountability often leads to inaction and delays. It's a classic problem.
It's the classic case of too many hands in the cookie jar, except instead of a ruined treat, you have a shortage of essential facilities. It almost makes you appreciate those sardonic pieces of advice you sometimes hear, like maybe bringing your own portable toilet or just strategically timing your brakes for when you cross state lines.
Huh. Well, it's funny, but also not really funny. It's a bit disheartening that these are the workarounds travelers sometimes feel compelled to consider.
What kind of message does that send?
Indeed. It underscores a fundamental misalignment between the state's aspiration to be a leading tourist destination and the foundational infrastructure required to underpin that ambition.
And speaking of ambition, let's pivot to another area where Karnataka seems to have been a little, shall we say, slow to react.
Okay.
I'm referring to the opportunities presented by emerging tourism trends.
Ah, yes. This really highlights the importance of proactive foresight and a deep understanding of the ever-evolving travel landscape. Destinations need to be nimble and adapt to new interests and demands.
Right. Take the growing interest in the Ramayana Circuit, for instance. With Ayodhya becoming a major focal point, there's a natural surge in travelers wanting to explore sites connected to this epic narrative.
Makes sense?
You'd think Karnataka, with its own significant Ramayana heritage, would be actively positioning these destinations. But it feels like the state observed this wave forming and just didn't quite paddle out to catch it.
A missed opportunity, perhaps.
It's like watching a great opportunity sail by without even trying to hoist the sails. What could be holding them back from leveraging these cultural connections?
That's a prime example of a missynergistic opportunity. When a significant cultural or religious trend gains momentum, destinations with relevant links need to be quick to develop appealing narratives, enhance infrastructure, and create compelling visitor experiences around those themes.
And it's not just the Ramayana. Consider the increasing global movement towards vegetarianism. Karnataka boasts an incredibly rich and diverse vegetarian culinary heritage.
Oh, absolutely fantastic food.
You could build an entire unique tourism campaign around it, showcasing the regional specialties and the sheer variety of meat-free options. Yet we don't see a unified, concerted effort to tap into this growing market.
Which is strange because it's a real strength.
Meanwhile, other regions, even countries like Nepal and Sri Lanka, are actively promoting themselves as affordable havens for vegetarian travelers. It makes you wonder if Karnataka is overlooking a significant segment of the market.
Especially when you consider the costs sometimes.
Exactly. Especially when a domestic trip within the state can sometimes feel surprisingly costly. Is there a perception that vegetarian options are just assumed and not worth actively promoting?
That's a very astute observation. Identifying and strategically promoting niche tourism offerings that align with prevailing global trends can provide a considerable competitive edge. Vegetarian tourism is certainly one such area where Karnataka possesses inherent strengths that could be more effectively highlighted.
Then there's the undeniable increase in highway tourism and the growing popularity of self-driving vacations. With improving road networks across India, more people are embracing the freedom of independent exploration.
A huge trend.
States like Rajasthan and Uttarakhand appear to have recognized this shift and are actively catering to self-driving tourists. Karnataka, not so much it seems.
Really? They haven't jumped on that.
The focus still seems to be heavily on traditional tour packages, perhaps not fully appreciating this new wave of independent explorers. Could it be that the infrastructure we talked about earlier, the lack of amenities, is also hindering the growth of self-drive tourism here?
I think that's very likely connected. Infrastructure development encompassing not only the roads themselves, but also the supporting facilities and readily available information tailored for self-driving travelers is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, it's about creating a welcoming and convenient ecosystem that caters to the needs of this expanding segment of the market.
Definitely.
We even heard from a consultant who understandably preferred to remain anonymous, who put it rather plainly. Karnataka needs to perhaps adjust its primary focus away from solely chasing high numbers of international tourists.
Which is always tempting.
And really concentrate on the consistently traveling domestic road trippers. These are the individuals and families whose spending keeps local economies vibrant year-round. It's almost like focusing on cultivating the garden you already have.
That's a pragmatic perspective. A robust domestic tourism sector often serves as the bedrock of a sustainable tourism industry, providing reliable revenue streams and establishing a strong foundation upon which to attract and cater to international visitors in the long run.
Right. Now, Karnataka does possess its undisputed star attraction, the breathtaking UNESCO World Heritage Site, of Hampi.
Can't argue with Hampi, it's spectacular.
It's undeniably awe-inspiring, a magnet for history enthusiasts and anyone wanting that iconic Instagram shot. But here's a critical point. Karnataka's historical and cultural tapestry is woven with many more equally significant threads.
Precisely. While Hampi's global recognition is well-earned, it's vital that its prominence doesn't overshadow the rich array of other remarkable sites that the state has to offer.
Exactly. We're talking about other UNESCO-recognized marvels like Belur, Halabidu, Pattadakal, and Aihole places that are just as historically rich and architecturally stunning.
World-class sites in their own right.
And then there are lesser-known gems like Likundi, which many people, even within Karnataka, might not be familiar with. These sites are almost like the supporting cast in a blockbuster film, incredibly talented but often overlooked. What's preventing these places from achieving greater recognition?
It really highlights the issue of an uneven distribution of tourist attention and the resources that follow. While Hampi rightly attracts significant crowds, the relative neglect of other sites of equal historical and cultural importance represents both a disservice to the state's overall heritage
And a missed opportunity.
and a missed opportunity to diversify the tourism product and attract a wider range of interests.
A tourism insider we spoke with shared a rather concerning observation. Hampi, precisely because of its immense popularity, is increasingly facing issues with overcrowding, which ironically can detract from the very experience people are seeking.
For the paradox of popularity.
Meanwhile, places like Pattadakal and Aihole are yearning for more visitors, often lacking fundamental amenities like adequate security, knowledgeable guides who can truly bring the history to life, and even basic facilities.
That's a huge problem. You need good guides, good facilities.
Compare this with the well-oiled machine of temple tourism in Tamil Nadu, or the strategic and effective marketing that elevates Rajasthan's heritage sites to must-see status. Karnataka's current strategy sometimes feels like saying, here's our one major hit, the rest, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, good luck, basically.
Is there a lack of a cohesive vision for heritage tourism beyond Hampi?
That disparity in management and visitor experience across different heritage sites is a significant weakness. It suggests a pressing need for a more integrated and strategically planned approach to heritage tourism management and development throughout the entire state.
It almost prompts a rather sardonic thought. Perhaps we should just create miniature, easily reproducible versions of Hampi and strategically place them around all the lesser-known sites.
Hampi light everywhere.
Instant tourist draw, right? Of course, the reality is considerably more nuanced than that. What would be a more realistic approach to elevate these other heritage locations?
Indeed. The key lies in cultivating the unique appeal and enhancing the individual infrastructure of each site, rather than attempting to simply replicate the success of one in isolation. Each location has its own story to tell.
Right, its own character.
And its own distinct architectural character that can be highlighted and brought to the forefront.
And speaking of complex situations, let's navigate into an area that often weighs heavily on travel decisions: the cost.
Yes. Price competitiveness is undoubtedly a vital factor in both attracting and retaining tourist interest in any destination.
Here's a statistic that might cause a slight pause. It can often be more economical to book a short round-trip flight to Thailand for a quick escape than to plan a similar-length trip within Karnataka, say, to the scenic hills of Coorg.
Wow, really? Thailand versus Coorg on price?
Apparently so, sometimes. Now, we know that domestic tourism forms the lion's share of Karnataka's visitor numbers, somewhere between a significant 70 and 90%.
The backbone.
Yet the pricing structure often feels more aligned with a premium, almost luxury experience. Why might this be the case?
That presents a notable paradox. While a strong domestic tourism base is undeniably crucial, the pricing of experiences within the state needs to be carefully calibrated to ensure it remains competitive and offers demonstrable value for money across various traveler segments.
We heard from Sundar Singaram of the South Indian Hotels and Restaurants Association, who pointed out the remarkable speed at which airlines react to any surge in demand by increasing their fares.
Oh, airlines are quick on that trigger, definitely. Trend spotters.
And hotels, perhaps understandably from a business perspective, aren't always offering substantial discounts either. This combination can inadvertently make exploring Karnataka feel surprisingly expensive for domestic travelers.
It adds up quickly. Flights, accommodation.
What could be done to mitigate these price fluctuations?
This really underscores the necessity for a more coordinated dialogue and collaborative strategies involving diverse stakeholders, including airlines, the hospitality sector, and potentially government bodies, to explore ways to ensure more stable and competitive pricing, particularly during peak travel periods.
Stakeholders have been quite vocal about the need for more budget-friendly tourism packages tailored to a wider spectrum of travelers, families seeking affordable getaways, independent adventurers looking for value, even those vegetarian road trippers we mentioned earlier.
Catering to different budgets, yeah.
But again, the processes involved in making these changes seem to progress at a rather deliberate pace. Bureaucratic hurdles can stifle hoteliers eager to innovate and offer more attractive deals.
Red tape getting in the way of value.
And delays in crucial infrastructure projects in places like Aihole and Belur can inadvertently limit the appeal and accessibility of these locations. What specific regulatory burdens might be hindering the industry's ability to offer more competitive pricing?
Streamlining regulatory frameworks and fostering enhanced collaboration between governmental agencies and the tourism industry are essential steps to address these impediments and encourage greater innovation in pricing models and the development of more diverse and appealing tourism packages.
One anonymous hotelier we spoke with specifically appealed for the government to ease up on certain regulations, perhaps offer some form of targeted support or subsidies, and essentially empower the industry to be more agile and responsive to the fluctuating demands of the market.
Just let us do our job, basically. Less hassle.
They expressed a sense of constantly navigating unnecessary obstacles. And when you objectively compare the overall cost of a comparable travel experience in Karnataka to destinations like Sri Lanka or even Goa, it often doesn't present a particularly favorable comparison.
Yeah, that's the reality check, isn't it? If Sri Lanka or Goa is cheaper for a similar vibe.
Exactly. What specific cost drivers might be making Karnataka less competitive in this regard?
That comparative cost analysis is indeed vital. Travelers today have a wide array of choices, and if the perceived value for their money isn't evident in one destination, they will readily explore alternatives that offer a more appealing balance of price and experience.
Now let's shift our focus to a specific group of travelers whose needs and concerns often require dedicated attention: solo women.
Right. This is a demographic with significant growth potential in the travel sector, and destinations that proactively prioritize their safety and cater to their unique requirements are likely to reap substantial benefits.
India, in general, is still on a journey towards ensuring that solo female travel feels universally safe and truly accessible. Karnataka has a genuine opportunity to position itself as a leader in this evolving landscape.
A real chance to stand out.
Imagine thoughtfully curated and secure itineraries, specifically designed for women eager to independently explore the rich Jain heritage of Shravanabelagola or the serene, less crowded beaches of Mangaluru.
That would be fantastic, tailored experiences.
Instead, it appears that the current tourism infrastructure and the prevalent offerings are largely oriented towards families and couples, almost as if the needs and preferences of solo women travelers aren't yet fully integrated into the planning. Why might this particular segment be underserved?
That's a notable oversight. Failing to adequately address the safety and logistical considerations of women traveling alone effectively excludes a significant and increasingly empowered segment of the travel market.
It's just bad business sense, too.
Destinations that prioritize inclusivity and safety for solo women are not only ethically responsible, but also stand to gain a significant competitive advantage.
A hotelier we connected with was quite direct, stating that solo travel isn't particularly common in many parts of Karnataka simply because the existing system doesn't adequately support it.
The infrastructure isn't there for them.
While there's often a clear focus on accommodating couples and families, women traveling alone can encounter challenges in finding safe and comfortable accommodation options and reliable and trustworthy transportation. What specific aspects of the current system might be creating these challenges?
This necessitates a multifaceted approach, encompassing the provision of secure and well-vetted accommodation options, the availability of dependable and easily accessible transportation services, and potentially the development of curated tours and activities specifically designed to cater to the interests and safety concerns of solo women travelers.
It's quite interesting to observe how other states are beginning to actively address this evolving travel trend. Uttarakhand, for example, has witnessed the growth of women-only trekking expeditions.
Oh yeah, I've heard about those.
And Rajasthan is actively promoting heritage tours specifically tailored for female travelers. Karnataka, in contrast, seems to be somewhat behind in actively recognizing and strategically responding to this increasing segment of independent travelers.
Lagging behind a bit on that front.
It almost leads to a somewhat ironic thought. Perhaps solo women travelers should just try to blend in as part of larger family groups to feel safer and more accommodated.
Ha! The disguise as family strategy. Not ideal.
But of course, that highlights the very issue we're discussing, rather than offering a viable solution. What practical steps could Karnataka take to become a more welcoming destination for solo women?
Indeed. The fundamental focus needs to be on cultivating a genuinely welcoming and secure environment that proactively addresses the specific needs and concerns of women traveling independently, ensuring they feel both safe and empowered to explore the diverse offerings of the state.
Now, after successfully arriving at your chosen destination, another hurdle frequently emerges, particularly in Karnataka's smaller urban centers, the crucial aspect of last-mile connectivity.
Ah, yes. This is an absolutely vital component of the overall travel experience that can often be underestimated in planning, but can significantly influence a visitor's overall satisfaction, getting from the station or airport to where you're actually staying.
Have you ever experienced that moment of arriving at an airport or a bustling bus station in a Tier 2 city like Mangaluru or Hubbalai, filled with anticipation to begin your exploration, only to be immediately confronted with the rather perplexing question of how to actually reach your pre-booked hotel or the key attractions you've come to see?
Oh, definitely. That feeling of, okay, now what?
Often, the readily available options are limited to potentially overpriced private taxis or sometimes less than reliable auto rickshaws. It can really take the wind out of your sails after a long journey.
Yeah, it's not a great first impression. What factors contribute to this last mile connectivity challenge in these cities?
That lack of convenient, affordable, and reliable transportation options for that crucial final leg of the journey could be a significant deterrent, particularly for budget-conscious travelers or those who are less familiar with the local area and its transportation systems.
Exactly. You need easy, clear options.
Eshen Wiham, from the Federation of Karnataka Chamber of Commerce and Industry, FKCCI, articulated this very clearly. Many of Karnataka's most compelling tourist destinations are situated in these Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
Where the real gems often are.
But the fundamental infrastructure to adequately support tourism in these areas, including reasonably priced and hygienic accommodation, as well as efficient local transportation, is simply not yet up to the required standard. How can these smaller cities improve their tourism infrastructure?
This really underscores the interconnected nature of various elements of tourism infrastructure. Without seamless and affordable last-mile connectivity, the inherent appeal of even well-known attractions located in these smaller urban centers can be significantly diminished, hindering their overall tourism potential.
And despite well-intentioned initiatives like the central government's Odayan scheme, which aims to boost air travel to regional airports,
Which sounded promising.
the tangible impact on significantly improving onward connectivity within these smaller cities in Karnataka hasn't been as transformative as one might have hoped. And we keep returning to it. But the persistent issue of adequate wayside amenities, or rather the lack thereof on the highways connecting these very places, further exacerbates the overall travel experience.
It all connects, doesn't it? The highway problems, the city problems.
While discussions with the relevant authorities are supposedly ongoing, the actual progress seems frustratingly slow. What could be a more effective way to address these interconnected infrastructure challenges?
It really emphasizes the necessity for a more integrated and strategically coordinated approach to infrastructure development, one that encompasses not only the major transportation arteries like highways and airports, but also the crucial local transportation networks within these smaller urban centers, ensuring a seamless and positive experience for visitors from arrival to departure.
Now, even if a traveler successfully navigates the journey and the local transport, there's another absolutely critical area where Karnataka appears to be underperforming: its overall marketing strategy.
The promotion piece. Effective and well-targeted marketing is absolutely essential for building destination awareness, attracting potential visitors, and shaping positive perceptions of what a place has to offer.
Precisely. On the international stage, when India is promoted as a travel destination, the narrative overwhelmingly features iconic landmarks like the Taj Mahal and the popular beaches of Goa.
The usual suspects.
If Karnataka receives a mention at all, it's most often Hampi, and that's generally where the spotlight ends. Domestically, the promotional efforts seem to be stuck in a somewhat repetitive loop, constantly highlighting Hampi, Korg, and Mysuru.
The big three, again and again.
But what about the truly astonishing wealth of other attractions? We're talking about over 80,000 officially recognized heritage sites scattered throughout the state.
80,000, that's staggering.
and the stunning yet largely undiscovered beaches that line the coast, places like Panambur, Kapu, or Sasihiflu. The marketing investment and effort dedicated to these gems seem to be practically negligible. Why this apparent lack of broader promotion?
That lack of proactive and diversified marketing effectively means that a significant majority of Karnataka's rich array of tourism assets remain largely undiscovered by potential visitors. It's a substantial missed opportunity
Yes.
to not only attract a wider range of travelers with diverse interests, but also to distribute the economic benefits of tourism more equitably across different regions of the state.
We even heard from an official within the state's tourism industry who candidly admitted that their promotional approach hasn't been as assertive or innovative as it perhaps needs to be.
An honest assessment, at least.
They even referenced countries like Italy and Japan, which consistently refresh their tourism narratives, seamlessly blending their renowned attractions with newly highlighted destinations and experiences. Karnataka, in comparison, seems to be relying heavily on its established icons.
Stuck on repeat mode, as you said earlier.
And when you consider the current digital landscape, regions like West Asia are incredibly effective at leveraging online platforms with multilingual websites and engaging visually driven social media campaigns. Karnataka's digital presence often feels, well, a little behind the curve.
Like finding a GeoCities page from the 90s.
Exactly. Functional perhaps, but hardly captivating. What specific areas of digital marketing could be improved?
In today's digitally driven world, a robust and dynamic online presence is absolutely paramount. It's about strategically reaching potential travelers where they are actively seeking travel inspiration and information on various social media platforms, influential travel blogs, and search engines,
Meeting them where they are.
and presenting a compelling, visually rich, and consistently up-to-date picture of the diverse experiences that Karnataka has to offer. This includes targeted campaigns, engaging video content, and collaborations with travel influencers.
It almost playfully suggests a slightly unconventional marketing tactic. Maybe we need to find a viral TikTok sensation to create a captivating dance routine against the backdrop of Pattadakal's ancient temples.
Huh. The Pattadakal challenge. While that might generate some initial buzz, a truly effective long-term marketing strategy requires a more comprehensive and multifaceted approach.
Okay, fair.
That combines creative and contemporary tactics with a clear and consistent brand narrative that showcases the depth and breadth of Karnataka's offerings to diverse target audiences.
And it's absolutely crucial to remember that Karnataka isn't operating in isolation. It's actively competing for the attention and the travel budgets of tourists against a host of well-established and often incredibly savvy destinations across a wide spectrum of travel interests.
Right. The competitive landscape within the global and domestic tourism sector is incredibly fierce, and destinations must continuously assess their strengths and weaknesses in relation to their key competitors and actively adapt their strategies accordingly.
Just think about it. Coorg and Mysuru are essentially vying for the same market of hill station and cultural tourism enthusiasts as popular destinations like Wayanad and Uti.
Direct competition there.
Coastal Karnataka's stunning beaches are in a constant battle for sun-seeking travelers against the well-entrenched allure of Goa, the quaint charm of Pondicherry, and even the burgeoning appeal of Kasaragod.
Tough competition on the coast.
When it comes to wildlife encounters, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat often have a stronger and more prominent promotional presence. And for those specifically seeking immersive temple experiences, Tamil Nadu has largely become the dominant player.
So competition across multiple fronts.
What specific strategies could Karnataka employ to better differentiate itself within these competitive categories?
That competitive reality underscores the urgent need for Karnataka to clearly identify and articulate its unique selling propositions within each of these tourism categories and to develop highly targeted marketing strategies that resonate with specific traveler segments, highlighting what makes Karnataka's offerings distinct and more compelling than those of its competitors.
Syama Raju from the Karnataka Tourism Society made a really insightful point. Karnataka is currently losing out to states like Rajasthan and Kerala, and even dynamic cities like Hyderabad.
Losing ground.
While certain destinations within Karnataka, such as Dandeli for adventure tourism, Kuka Subramanya for pilgrimage, and Udupi for coastal charm, are popular with tourists from neighboring states like Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu.
So some regional pull exists.
There's a clear and pressing need to elevate the overall quality and consistency of the tourism experience across the board to become a more formidable competitor on a national scale. What specific aspects of the visitor experience need the most attention to enhance competitiveness?
Investing strategically in raising hygiene standards across all types of tourism establishments, significantly improving the quality and variety of accommodation options available at different price points, and drastically enhancing seamless connectivity within and between destinations are all absolutely essential steps to bolster Karnataka's competitive standing in the tourism market. Oh, and maybe making decisions faster.
Yeah, that too. We did hear from Karnataka Tourism Director KV Rajendra, who, while acknowledging the existing challenges, expressed a decidedly optimistic perspective, particularly regarding the resilience and strength of the domestic tourism sector.
Okay, some official optimism.
He also highlighted the Karnataka State Tourism Development Corporation's, KSTDC, ongoing plans to develop more three-star hotel accommodations in key but currently underserved locations such as Belur, Pattadakal, Aihole, and various points along the coastline.
Building hotels in neglected spots, that's positive.
Furthermore, they're in the process of developing a comprehensive demand and supply report, which aims to provide a data-driven foundation for future infrastructure development priorities. On the surface, these initiatives certainly sound like positive steps forward.
Strategic infrastructure development, particularly in these less visited but culturally significant areas, is indeed a crucial step towards unlocking their inherent tourism potential and diversifying the overall tourism offerings of the state. Data-driven decisions are good.
However, the prevailing sentiment we've encountered from various stakeholders within the tourism industry and potential investors is one of cautiousness, largely stemming from concerns about the often lengthy timelines required to realize a substantial return on investment in these areas.
The ROI question, the classic chicken and egg scenario playing out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need a consistent influx of tourists to make new facilities financially viable, but you need attractive and well-maintained facilities to draw a greater number of tourists in the first place.
Tricky balance.
Director Rajendra's team also mentioned ongoing dialogues with bus operators and hoteliers to explore solutions for those persistent last-mile connectivity gaps, and the perennial discussions with state and national highway authorities regarding the crucial provision of adequate wayside amenities continue.
So, lots of talking is happening.
So, is tangible progress being made? Perhaps incrementally. But is the pace and scale of these efforts sufficient to truly address the deep-rooted challenges and capitalize on the immediate opportunities? That remains a very significant question mark.
Yeah, the pace seems to be the issue. What could accelerate these efforts?
Overcoming this inertia and fostering more rapid progress necessitates the cultivation of strong and effective public-private partnerships, the establishment of clear and supportive policy frameworks, and the articulation of a cohesive and compelling shared vision for the sustainable and inclusive development of tourism across the entirety of the state.
Easier said than done, but essential.
But amidst all the discussions about challenges and areas for improvement, it's absolutely vital that we don't lose sight of the truly immense and often untapped potential that lies within Karnataka's lesser-known sites.
Absolutely. The state is home to a remarkable wealth of hidden cultural and natural treasures that have the potential to offer unique and authentic experiences for travelers seeking something beyond the well-trodden tourist paths.
Just consider this, the incredibly intricate and beautifully carved temples of Lakundi, architectural marvels that often remain surprisingly off the radar.
Lakundi, fantastic example.
The dramatic and awe-inspiring Yana Caves, a true paradise for trekking enthusiasts that remain largely unknown outside of the immediate region.
Yana is quite dramatic, yeah.
And that stunning coastline, stretching with 22 distinct beaches, many of which offer pristine beauty without the overwhelming crowds often found elsewhere. These could truly be Karnataka's unique selling proposition, offering a different kind of appeal to discerning visitors.
The hidden gems, the secret weapons.
What would it take to bring these hidden gems into the spotlight?
Effectively developing and strategically promoting these lesser-known sites requires a concerted and multi-pronged effort encompassing targeted marketing campaigns, thoughtful infrastructure development tailored to their specific needs, and the cultivation of a compelling narrative that highlights their unique appeal and encourages exploration beyond the more established destinations.
It's almost tantalizing to imagine a future where a relatively undiscovered beach like Sasihithlu becomes as widely recognized and beloved as, say, the iconic Kalangut beach in Goa.
Sasihithlu as the next Kalangut. It's not a far-fetched dream, it's an entirely achievable reality with focus and sustained effort and strategic investment.
What would be the key ingredients for such a transformation?
It really underscores the fundamental importance of a comprehensive and long-term vision for tourism development, one that proactively looks beyond the current hotspots and actively cultivates the distinct appeal and enhances the accessibility of these often overlooked but incredibly valuable hidden treasures.
So, as we bring all of these insights together, what are the truly key takeaways? What's the essential roadmap for Karnataka to finally realize its full potential and truly shine as a leading tourism destination?
Okay, let's synthesize. Drawing from our discussion, several core priorities emerge. Addressing the fundamental infrastructure gaps, particularly the pressing need for clean and accessible restrooms and well-maintained road networks, is absolutely paramount, non-negotiable basics.
Got to fix the basics first.
Simultaneously, a concerted and sustained effort must be made to strategically promote and invest in the wealth of often neglected heritage sites that lie beyond the well-trodden path of Hampi. Spread the love, essentially.
Absolutely. And adopting a more proactive and agile approach to identifying and effectively capitalizing on emerging tourism trends, whether it's the growing interest in Ramayana-themed travel or the increasing demand for vegetarian-focused experiences, is absolutely crucial. Don't miss the boat again.
Right, be nimble. Furthermore, making domestic travel within Karnataka more affordable and actively fostering a welcoming and secure environment specifically for solo women travelers are also vital and timely steps. Price and safety matter.
Yeah, make it accessible and welcoming for everyone.
Moreover, the implementation of a more assertive, contemporary, and strategically diverse marketing strategy that effectively showcases the full spectrum of Karnataka's rich and varied offerings to a global audience is essential. Tell the whole story, not just part of it.
Get the word out effectively.
And finally, significantly improving last-mile connectivity in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities will undoubtedly enhance the overall visitor experience and unlock the potential of many currently less accessible destinations. Connect the dots, literally.
Ultimately, the underlying message seems abundantly clear. Karnataka's inherent potential in the realm of tourism is truly immense, almost boundless.
Absolute massive potential.
But fully unlocking that vast potential necessitates decisive and consistent action, a fundamental shift in strategic priorities, and an unwavering commitment to effectively addressing the core challenges that are currently acting as significant constraints. It's high time for that treasure chest to be not just unlocked, but thrown wide open.
It truly boils down to effectively bridging the existing gap between the state's extraordinary inherent attractions and the overall end-to-end experience for every visitor. Diligently addressing these key areas will not only attract a greater number of tourists, but more importantly, will foster repeat visits and positive word-of-mouth recommendations,
Which is the gold standard.
leading to truly sustainable and inclusive growth within the sector.
Karnataka's tourism potential, as we've discussed, feels like having a magnificent high-performance sports car, perpetually stuck in first gear.
The Ferrari analogy again, stuck in first.
The sheer abundance of incredible attractions is undeniably there, just waiting to be unleashed. So as you continue to ponder this deep dive into the multifaceted landscape of Karnataka's tourism, I want to leave you with this final thought. What does this intricate case study tell us about the universal challenges and exciting opportunities inherent in fully unlocking untapped potential in any field of endeavor?
Broader implications.
Whether it's the world of travel, the complexities of business, or even our own personal aspirations, how do we most effectively strike that crucial balance between the valuable resources we possess and the often challenging effectiveness with which we ultimately leverage them?
That's a great question. Having the potential versus actually realizing it, it's a question that's certainly worth contemplating long after our conversation concludes.